Donald Trump continues to face plant with negotiations with Russia. He always shows that he either doesn't know what he's doing or he's completely Vladimir Putin's lapdog. Watch this clip.
If I think I'm close to getting a deal, I don't want to screw it up by doing that. Let me tell you, I'm a lot tougher than the people you're talking about, but you have to know when to use that. If I think it's going to hurt a deal, this isn't my war. This is Biden's war, Zelensky's war, and Putin's war. This isn't Trump's war. I'm only here for one thing, to see if I can end it, to save 5,000 lives a week.
Okay. First of all, he campaigned that if he would have been president, it would have never started. And he was so confident in that he said as soon as he was elected, one phone call within 24 hours, he would have the war settled. Now he's in there and he's constantly spewing Vladimir Putin's talking points. He is very much a pro-Russian propagandist. And just an aside, bugs the shit out of me how he refers to himself as Trump. And furthermore, Judge Janine back there behind him, he has just literally shopped for experts from Fox Entertainment. These people had to pay $1 billion in a lawsuit for lying to the American public. He has such expert liars to propagate his propaganda. All right, next up, the Tennessee Republican called on Americans to get their news from the Kremlin, claiming that's the folks we need to be listening to. So this is Representative Mark Green, and he told a Fox Business anchor that the country should really be listening to Putin more. This is so incredibly dangerous, and this shows you how uneducated the Republican Party is about Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is the enemy of America. The only thing that has prevented him from advancing into Europe is the United States. And so now we have a compromised president who is compromised by Vladimir Putin, and then all of these totally crazy right-wingers that go down the rabbit hole with Tucker Carlson, and they get completely indoctrinated into thinking that Russia is this country that's our friend and they're our allies and that they tell the truth. And it's all false. Vladimir Putin is winning this war, and the war that he started is a war of propaganda within the United States to make us mad at each other. And think about this. Donald Trump always talks poorly about half of Americans. He never, ever, ever really talks that badly about Vladimir Putin, other than, Vladimir, stop. But he's always, every Memorial Day, 4th of July, Christmas, Easter, Merry Christmas to you liberal scum. He could never, ever talk that way to an authoritarian that wants to see the demise of the United States. Even Ben Shapiro is having a hard time spinning this. Watch this clip.
Again, I'm not sure what he wants from Zelensky that Zelensky hasn't already given him. Zelensky has given him the immediate ceasefire. Zelensky has said he will go anywhere for direct talks. Zelensky gave him the rare earth minerals deal. And sort of both sides of him from the Trump administration and from President Trump is the reason why Putin is pushing. If Putin believes he can get away with it.
I think it's right. I think Putin thinks he can get away with it. I think that Donald Trump is compromised by Vladimir Putin. I also think that Vladimir Putin and all of these other dictators have a psychological profile on Donald Trump, and all you have to do is flatter him. He falls prey to superficial flattery like somebody in grade school or junior high. That's how weak he is. This is the weakest American president we have ever had on foreign policy. And I want to remind everybody that the Republicans, now MAGA Republicans, were all about national security. And they seem to have thrown all of that out the window. And you hear out of this administration constantly bad things about the European Union, which is a Russian propaganda talking point. Russia and the Middle East are not our friends. They don't believe in the same levels of democracy that we do. But all they have to do is give him a plane, tell him he's a great golfer, tell him he's so smart and he's such a badass, and he folds like a cheap suit. All right, next up, we're going to shift gears a second to RFK Jr.'s MAHA report. Put this up. RFK Jr.'s MAHA report includes at least 7 cited sources that do not appear to exist. One scientist stated that the paper cited is not a real paper that I or my colleagues were involved with when informed of the report. So this is one of the biggest plays that authoritarians do, and it is an attack on expertise. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not an expert. Maybe there are some things that are bad in American food. There's no question we've always bent the knee to corporations to allow them to put chemicals in our food over the well-being of people. But all in all, RFK Jr. is a complete whack job who says that he has a brain worm, who staged some sort of bear homicide. And now we're making shit up and putting it into reports. And I don't think the American public has any idea what the American government does. It's not a business. It is a government that keeps us safe, that runs services for us, like the FAA, like the FDA, et cetera. This is what authoritarians do. They break down everything. They drain everything, every pillar of power that we, the people, had, and they're going to install it all for Donald Trump. And here's the thing about Donald Trump. He will screw over every single person that bent the knee to him without hesitation. All right, here's Caroline Levitt trying to spin this RFK Jr. nonsense.
Thanks so much, Caroline. A notice investigation found that the Hallmark MAHA Commission report that was released last week cites studies that appear to not exist. We know that because, in part, we reached out to some of the listed authors who said that they didn't write the studies cited. So I want to ask, does the White House have confidence that the information coming from HHS can be trusted?
Yes, we have complete confidence in Secretary Kennedy and his team at HHS. I understand there were some formatting issues with the MAHA report that are being addressed, and the report will be updated, but it does not negate the substance of the report, which, as you know, is one of the most transformative health reports that has ever been released by the federal government, and is backed on good science that has never been recognized by the federal government.
And a quick follow-up, can you talk about what tools or research goes into production of these kinds of reports? For instance, is it AI that's used to put together these reports now?
I can't speak to that. I would defer you to the Department of Health and Human Services. What I know is just what I told you.
So it's just important to point out that all of these Republican women, these MAGA women, they always have these very visible crosses, and they always accuse the left of virtue signaling. And I accuse them of Christian signaling. There is a segment of the American public that sees that, and they think, oh, she's a good Christian woman. She wouldn't lie. Jesus wouldn't want her to lie, so she's not going to lie. And it works on the Fox News crowd. Her in that cross, she's able to lie more with impunity. And here's the thing. These people claim to be pro-life. All of this stuff that RFK and the HHS are going to do is going to unleash diseases in the United States. Furthermore, this is the same administration that took away food, aid, and medication to the poorest people in the world so that the richest people didn't have to pay taxes and can get pardoned from crimes. But it doesn't stop there. Put up this next chart. Some of Trump's damage is visible right away, but much of it, like gutting science funding, attacking universities, and driving away tourists and foreign students, will haunt us for decades. This chart is just the beginning, and this chart is America is failing to attract new scientists. Web page views from outside the U.S. per PhD program by program country, percentage of change on a year earlier. They are all underwater. We are completely underwater. So the best and brightest that Donald Trump said he wanted to let come into the country, he's not going to let them come in because he wants to completely annihilate education. He told his whack job Secretary of Education that he wanted her job was to close down the department and make herself unemployed. But he's also attacking universities. And this is a textbook authoritarian play. They don't want critical thinking. They don't want an educated electorate that uses facts, data, and this is a way that they want to run this MAGA shit for a long, long time. And they have the Heritage Foundation. And I want to remind everybody, Trump is just a Trojan horse. The people behind him that are driving this are some really evil MFers. And they have this idea, literal handmade style ideas. That's what comes out of Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation. And you see on legacy media where everybody is acting like these are just Trump's policies. These are not policies. This is the annihilation of the United States federal government. And so we all need to keep an eye on this, and we need to report on it accurately because our democracy is literally hanging in the balance. Please subscribe to our show, order our book. The link is in bio, and we'll see you all later.